When it comes to remote work, we get so obsessed with all the tools and the tech. But what if the biggest key to making it all work isn't about software at all? What if it's actually about changing our mindset? Today, we're going to dig into this idea of moving away from old school supervision and toward a culture of self-direction. Right. And this is the classic fear, isn't it? The one that keeps managers up at night. If I can't physically see my team, how on earth do I know they're actually working? But here's the thing. What if that's completely the wrong question to be asking? What if visibility isn't the metric we should be focused on at all? Every once in a while, something comes along that just completely rewrites the rules of how we work and connect. I mean, think about the first cell phones, or when social media exploded. The rise of remote work, all powered by the internet, is one of those moments. It's not just changing where we work, it's changing the very nature of work itself. So here's the fundamental clash. The old way of doing things was basically built for a factory floor, right? Managers watched people to make sure they were physically present, putting in the hours. It was all about managing inputs. The new way, the remote-friendly way, demands that we focus on outputs. What did you actually get done? What impact did it have? It's a huge shift from supervision to genuine ownership. And if you look at how we're all talking about remote work right now, it's all about the tools. We're talking about Zoom and Slack and all these digital meeting rooms. And look, those things are important for sure, but they're just tactical. They're all still designed to solve that old problem of visibility, not the real problem of productivity. And that's what brings us to the real missing piece in this whole remote work puzzle. It's not about finding better technology. It's about a cultural shift towards something called self-direction. It's about building an environment where people aren't just supervised cogs at a machine. They're empowered, self-directed contributors. Okay, so what is self-direction really? Well, it's a culture where the focus is on results, not on presence. It's a place where trust completely replaces control, and people are given the power to truly own their work and its outcomes, whether they're sitting in the office or on the other side of the world. And this question, wow, it really gets to the heart of it for every single one of us, doesn't it? That old system of supervision can make you feel like your value is just tied to being seen. But a self-directed culture, that's what lets you be recognized for what you actually accomplish. It's a chance to truly, truly shine. Right, this all sounds pretty great in theory, but how do you actually build a culture like this? Well, it turns out it all rests on three really important pillars that have to work together to create that self-directed environment. And here they are: responsibility, empowerment, and accountability. You really can't have one without the others. Think of it this way. Responsibility gives you clarity. Empowerment gives you the capability to act on that clarity. And accountability gives you ownership over the results. So let's break these down, and we've got to start with the foundation, responsibility. Responsibility is absolutely the bedrock here. If people don't have total clarity on what they're supposed to be doing and, just as importantly, why it matters, then self-direction is just, well, it's impossible. And this goes way deeper than a simple job description. I mean, think about it. For some jobs, like being a nurse or a teacher, people have this deep, built-in sense of meaning. They know why their work matters. For responsibility to really stick in any job, every single employee has to understand the why behind their work. They need to see how a job done well makes a real impact. So if meaning is the why, then task maps are the what and the how. These are basically detailed guides that lay out exactly who does what and when they do it. This isn't about micromanaging at all. It's about getting rid of confusion so that every person knows their role inside and out and how it connects to the bigger picture. And this leads to a tool called a service level agreement, or an SLA. Now, a lot of us think of these as just boring legal documents full of penalties for when things go wrong. But this quote offers a much more powerful way to think about it. A good SLA should be like a vow, a positive partnership for success, not just a plan for failure. So you see, a self-directed SLA is a two-way street. It has to clearly state what the company is going to provide, the resources, the support, and in return, it lays out what the employee will deliver in clear, measurable results. It becomes a contract of mutual commitment, a true partnership. All right, so once everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing, we get to pillar number 2, empowerment. And this isn't just a fluffy buzzword. It means giving people practical training, making sure they have the right tools and information, and, this is the big one, actually trusting them with the authority to make decisions. And that brings us to the final pillar, accountability. Now, in a traditional workplace, accountability is usually reactive. You report on what already happened. In a self-directed culture, it's proactive. People don't wait to be asked for an update. They take ownership of sharing their progress, of flagging potential problems, and of showing off their results against those clear targets we talked about. Okay, so you do all this work, you make this big cultural shift. What's the payoff? What actually happens when you build a system based on trust instead of control? Well, the results can be absolutely transformative. Well, the benefits are huge. When you empower people at the front line, you unlock all this creative, entrepreneurial thinking. Job satisfaction just skyrockets because people feel valued for what they actually contribute. And maybe best of all, senior managers are freed from constantly having to supervise, so they can finally focus on the big picture stuff like strategy and growth. And this is maybe the biggest shift of all. The role of a manager completely changes. In a self-directed world, managers stop being monitors and they become coaches. Their job isn't to watch people work anymore. It's to clear obstacles, offer guidance, and help their team reach its full potential. So we'll just leave you with this one last question to think about. As remote and hybrid work just becomes the way things are, the old ways of managing are simply breaking down. The question really isn't if we need to change anymore, it's how. So is your company still trying to master the art of digital supervision, or is it ready to build the trust and the clarity you need for a truly self-directed future?